Good morning and welcome to day 3 in the Watch Your Step Sister to Sister age group 16 to 18 with the Second Bethlehem Baptist Association United Congress of Christian Education. My name is Dowanna Howard Thomas. Our class topic this week has been Watch Your Step. And for purposes of this class, we decided to focus on the word step, S-T-E-P, and we have assigned a word to each one of those letters. On the first day, we discussed the first letter S, which is set, the second letter T, which is track, the third letter E, which is evaluate, and the last letter, which we will discuss today, is P for plan. So day 1, we talked about setting your goals. So in life, there is not anything too small or too big to decide on accomplishing. Whether you're setting a goal to clean your room, lose weight, save money for an upcoming event or an item that you're wanting, a car or a piece of jewelry or a new electronic device, or even setting goals on your spiritual side, which is to get up and attend Sunday school at least 3 times this month if you're typically not one to attend, or to make sure that you're doing daily Bible readings and praying, etc. So again, it's about setting goals that are unique and specific to your desires and your wishes. The second letter, T, track, we combined and discussed on yesterday with the letter E for evaluate. So on yesterday, we discussed tracking and evaluating your progress. So after you set those goals, what tools are you utilizing to track and evaluate, and possibly even making changes if necessary in the process? Today, as I stated already, we will focus on the last letter, which is P, plan. So remember, in all of this, when you are setting goals, when you are going about your daily activities, we want to make sure that we're also aligned with that of the Word of God, including God, making sure that not necessarily every particular moment quoting scriptures or etc., but we want to make sure that that is a part of us and that we are seeking Him, that we're getting direction from our parents as well as pastors and other leaders of the church, that direction to ensure that we're on the right path as well. So to recap first, information that was shared on day 1 and 2 that will be helpful before we dive right into plan. We discussed for purposes of setting your goals, watching your step, we talked about different tools that could be utilized when setting your goals. The analogy that we used or example that we used that was best illustrated for our age group was just a simple task of preparing yourself for the day when you're getting ready to go somewhere, whether you're going to class, whether you're going to a football game, whether you're going to an event at school or church, wherever you're going, you have to know where you're going so that you can properly prepare. In our example, we discussed an outfit. If we are going out to, the example that I used was if I'm going to an MCYFL football game with my niece, I'm not necessarily going to put on the same clothing that I would if I was going to Sunday morning worship service. So we're being mindful where we're going, we're planning it out, even with deciding on what we're wearing. as detailed as deciding if the shirt that I have chosen goes with the shoes that I have, available to wear, making those decisions, accessorizing. But the whole focus, the whole goal was to make sure that when we're getting ready to go out, that we are prepared. We're looking our best. And we want to make sure that we're looking our best from the outside as well as the inside. So the same way that we're making sure that we're matching clothing wise, we have on the proper accessories, we want to make sure that when we're going out, the inside is always also taken care of. So that means if I have an attitude, get it straight, because does it really represent Christ? When I'm going out, will someone really know that I have prepared myself and that I am truly a Christian who is showcasing really what this Christian walk is about and showing the love of Christ? When we discuss tracking and evaluating, we talked about different tools that we can utilize to ensure that we're making progress. For example, we use the example of social media. When we upload a picture, a video, or share content, there is a built-in feature, whether you're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever it is, where other individuals are able to give a thumbs up or a heart or a another emoji, like they have a wow, like a surprise face. So the same way when we're uploading things, and that built-in feature allows other people, typically we go back to look. When we put a picture up, hey, this time I got 100 likes. Last time I may have gotten 200. What was the difference? Am I missing something? Why didn't everyone like it? But we're also able to see sometimes what, as I shared, that I recently learned was on like the profile pictures, we're able to see if there are views, but maybe not a response from our audience. So the same way we're going back, backtracking, seeing what's happening when we're uploading things or discussing with our friends, when we are setting goals, we should be also documenting our progress, documenting what's working, what's not working. So some of the things that we're able to use, for example, we can use a journal, we can use a planner, we can use our electronic devices to use notes or other features or other apps that we may have to track that progress. Just like when we are preparing to go out with our clothing attire, we may decide last minute, oh, those shoes will go better this time around. So what we would do is change it up. So on yesterday, we discussed the same thing. We're able to make those necessary changes if we would like. So that's part of the tracking and evaluating part. So today, with the planning part, the easiest way to start off the discussion to help you understand it is it's similar to taking a trip. So we've done the first part of it. We set the goal. So we wanted to travel out of town to see our friend, or for example, we're on spring break because we're teenagers. So we're on spring break. So at Christmas time, a group of us have decided what we're going to do. This is our senior year. Our parents have agreed to go with some other friends, and we're going on our senior trip. We're going over to Daytona. So for that S part, for setting our goals, we've already decided what we're going to do. We're going to Daytona for spring break. So when we set that goal, we also have to do some planning with it, because we can't just say we're going somewhere and not do anything in between. Okay, so that in between part is that planning part. We also discussed yesterday a little bit on making sure that we are making smaller parts and pieces, which is the part of planning as well, to make those steps to ensure that everything goes well. So for example, we decided in December, we're going to Daytona. So what are we going to do to make sure that we get to Daytona? We're going to plan the steps. So the easiest way to use it, because we've all been doing it since elementary school, is those key phrases: what, when, who, where, what, when, who, where, who, all those different things that we learn. So for the purposes of us today, we're just going to talk about what, where, when, and who. So what are we doing? We're going to Daytona Beach. So we've sat down, we've talked to our parents, and you know that they're going to want to know every single detail, because they're going to call your other girlfriend's parents to make sure that everything is in line and that they're saying the same thing as well, which is good parenting. So we love that. So we're going to Daytona. When are we going to Daytona? We're going for spring break. So we know our spring break dates. We know how many days. So then the next question is, yes, we're going to Daytona, but let's break it down. Where are we going when we get to Daytona? We obviously, if we're planning to do an overnight trip, not sure if every parent will approve an overnight trip. I wasn't that parent, but some parents do. An overnight trip, we need to know where we're staying. So that means that that is another step in the process. So now we have to do some research, decide, where we're going to go. In addition to that, we need to decide who is going as well to ensure that we have enough space. So if it's me and my friend Lakeisha and Vernisha and Shamika, that's 4 of us. So we have to make sure that we have enough space once we get there, as well as enough space to get there. So all of this we're having to put on paper. We may not be writing it down. We may be texting each other, but in some way, some form, we're documenting it. So we have a plan. We've decided Lakeisha's going to drive. Dowanna is going to get with her mom to book the room. We got all of these different options for rooming. We know it's safe. We've done our research, because when we go to our parents, we have to make sure that we're on top of it, because if they feel that we're not prepared, we should expect them to say no. So because we know our parents, we know how they are, we're going to have all our ducks in a row. So we know where we want to stay. We have the main place as well as some alternatives. We have the information as to how we're going to pay to get there. We've divided it up, so we know everything. We know that Lakeisha is driving. We know how much gas is going to cost. We put in so much work to make sure that we get their approval. We know who's going, so everybody's going to be on the same page when they're talking to their parents. We know what we're doing when we get there. We're just hanging out on the beach. We're going to stay here. We're not driving much. We know everything that's going on. So when we get ready to go to get this approval, we're already prepared, because we have done the research, we planned, just like with getting dressed on the first day. We didn't just walk out the house without knowing where we were going, preparing for whatever activity we were going to do. We are prepared. We're ready. So we go to our parents. We're talking to our parents about this plan. My mom calls Shamika's mom. Shamika's mom has some additional questions. So she then called Lakeisha's mom, who calls Vernisha's mom. So now they've given us some additional questions, like, what about this? Do you all know anybody else that's going? What if this happens? You're only 17. How are you going to check in the hotel? So they presented some other questions, which then requires us to go back and make some adjustments. The same way when we were accessorizing that outfit, when we were setting that goal on that first step, we have to make some changes. We have to make some adjustments to make sure that we're able to accomplish that goal that we have set. Because we really want to go to Daytona, we're going to be respectful. Yes, ma'am. We're going to go and do our research. We're going to even put our best in it. We're going to do it to the best of our ability. We're going to research. We're going to make sure that all our I's are dotted, all our T's are crossed, because we want to go on this trip. We're excited about it. So we're going to make sure that any follow-up questions that they have asked, that we have it all taken into account. So then we take it back to them. This time around, it's not as many questions, but it still have, some of them still have some concerns. So we may have even more things to come back and discuss amongst ourselves before we present it back to our parents again. So that is just something simple for just a road trip, okay? So now we've gotten the approval. They've said yes with one final request. We know Lakeisha is driving. We know now where we are staying because they have approved it. They've approved the 4 of us going together because we're all riding over there together. We've told them how we're going to take care of the couple of days because we've been working, we've been saving our money. We're set. We're ready to go. But then Bernicia mom asked, what route are you taking to get there? Because none of us have driven to Daytona on our own, now we have one additional step. That step is to now map out how we're getting to Daytona. Well, not unlike the older days, we're not taking out a paper map. We have this great app on our phones. So we're able to go onto the GPS to get us there. So now we've shared with them the route. We got the approval. Guess what? We're ready for spring break next week. Now we're a week away. We're ready. We're packing our clothes. We're talking to each other. Girl, I'm carrying this. What are you wearing tomorrow? What are you wearing to the water? Do you have are you taking a swimsuit? Or are you just taking shorts? We're all into everything. Are we doing anything at night? How many outfits do I really need for this day? So we have everything all lined up. We're ready to go. So fast forward to next week. We get in the car. We're ready to go. The first stop is the gas station. Because remember, Lakeisha has decided that she's going to drive for us. But we're all splitting up the cost for gas. So the first stop is the gas station. Well, as we all know, these gas prices are unpredictable. And now we're at a day where it changed. We, as teenagers, we're not watching the gas prices. So we had already calculated how much we're spending on gas. So we're at the gas station, and the first day before we even get on the road, there has already been an adjustment. We spent $15 more on gas than we thought we were going to spend. Not literally, you guys. I hope it's not that much more, but just for purposes of explaining. So now we have to adjust our budget a little bit. We're still wanting to go. We're not going to not go because the gas prices are a little bit more today. We're still going. But that's not what was written down on our plan. So we're making an adjustment. So we have picked everybody up. We've gassed up. Now we're on the road. Well, we're starting at a different spot because Lakeisha had to go and pick up everybody from their house to make it easier. So remember last week we had to give our parents the final route. Well, here we are on our little maps, ready to go to Daytona, thinking we're going the route because we remember where we're going through Ocala to get to the boulevard, and there's an accident. So the GPS reroutes itself, okay? So we can't go over here off of 27th as example, where we are right now picking up Shamika. Well, where we picked up Shamika and then got gas, we have to go a different route because of the GPS. But we go that route, it changes our time just a little bit, but we still get to Daytona safely. So it didn't go just as planned. We had to make a few adjustments, but we're all excited because we're in Daytona. We got stuck in traffic once we got to Daytona because it's spring break for a lot of different schools and areas. So traffic is much heavier than we expected, but we're here. We're finally here. We're getting ready to walk into the hotel lobby. We get to the counter. Dowanna's mom has already called over to secure the room, provide the card, provide everything. We get to the counter and the hotel clerk requests the actual physical card. We were unprepared for this. So now there's another thing, another step that we have to now address. So Dowanna's on the phone calling her mom, who then contacts the hotel and learns that there was not a note in the system to say that everything was satisfied. But it was taken care of because Dowanna, in quick thought, contacted her mom, who then contacted the hotel clerk. So we're fine, we're good, we're moving forward now. It's getting more exciting because the hotel clerk is making the keys. We've requested some additional copies. So guess what? We're almost in the room. How exciting. So here we are now. We're going to the room. Everything is perfect. We've already decided who's staying in which bed with each other. It's 4 of us, so we're sharing. So we're ready. We go get our clothes from the car. You know us. We showed each other on FaceTime, but now we have to get our clothes out, decide on what we're gonna do first. We are ready. Okay, so we're there. We had a plan. We stuck to it. We're doing wonderful. We're excited. So we get out, we go enjoy everything. We have a blast. Okay, we're having a blast. We're down having lunch, doing everything, and in the middle of lunch, guess what happens? Exactly what happens on a daily basis here in Florida. Out of nowhere, it starts to rain. Well, the plan was to meet up with some other students that were coming from Ocala. We were going to meet up at the beach just to have a day on the beach. Our first day was the day on the beach. Tomorrow we're going shopping, but it rains. So it's no way that we're going to sit out there because not only is it raining, but it's thundering, bad weather. We didn't expect it because guess what? We're teenagers. We didn't look at the weather. We're going to Daytona. The beach is there. So we're getting ready to have fun. So once again, we're having to make an adjustment. So we coordinate with the other ladies that we were meeting up with, and we decided that it was best to stay in the room. The reason we had to stay in the room is because remember, Lakeisha was driving. Lakeisha doesn't like to drive in the weather. So it was best for us to just stay at the house because we couldn't afford any accidents. We couldn't afford to get lost driving in this weather. So then we stay in the room. We didn't have any plans, but we came up with things to do, listening to music, chit-chatting, looking on social media, seeing what everybody else is doing, posting our pics at the hotel and everything, letting everybody know how much fun we're having. Things aren't going as we planned, but we're still having a blast because we're not here in Ocala for spring break. We're in Daytona. We're doing it big. So we're having a blast. The following day, we then have a tight schedule because we have to get back. So we did everything we needed to do. So now we're at the end of the trip. We're headed back home. Okay. So we had a blast. We're glad we took the time to plan, to research, to provide all those answers to our parents' follow-up questions. Now we're sitting back in Ocala and we're revisiting our trip. And that's when we are just sitting discussing and realize how many adjustments really occurred. We're talking because we're trying to plan our next trip after graduation, because this was our senior year. So this is after, so now we're planning our next trip. Next time, we're going to make sure that we look at the weather. Next time, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. We're going to stay at this hotel in case it does rain, because this hotel that our friends stayed at, they had an arcade, they had this, they had that. So it was other things to do. So we're jotting all of this down. We're taking notes because we're going to remember while we had fun this time, we're going to have even a better time next time. Okay, so we're ready for our next trip. We're already on to the next best thing, and we just got back home. But we had a blast, but we're still on to our next thing. I want to encourage us to use this example in our daily walk with Christ as well. We're constantly coming up with goals. We're doing things on a daily basis. As we stated before, when you're setting a goal, whether it's you want to do better in your classwork, in your schoolwork, we want to make sure that we are making a plan. We may not have to actually look at directions for GPS. We may not necessarily have to ask our parents, for permission to do homework. But we want to, for the purposes of this illustration, the same way we were talking to our parents to get permission, the same way we were collaborating with our friends on the trip details, we need to seek God for guidance. Ask Him for help in everything we do. We may go to Him and He may not give us the answer that we thought, and He could speak through our parents, through our teachers, through our pastors. And when those things happen, we have to make some adjustments and then be accountable to God as well, letting Him know that we are following His direction. When there are bumps in the road, things happen, we're going back to Him. God, what should we do? When we were in the hotel lobby and the hotel clerk said that she needed a physical card, Dowanna immediately called her mother, to have it resolved. That's what we should be doing in this walk with Christ. When we're having a problem, immediately start talking to God. God, help me. What should I do? Send me to who I need to speak to make sure that this problem is resolved. There is nothing wrong with asking for help, seeking God's approval. He's there. He's waiting. He wants us to communicate with Him so that He is able to help us. As we shared on yesterday, we may have a plan, we may have a desire, but we can't see the full outlook. We don't know what's going to happen on the end. But guess what? We have a connection with someone who does. So because God is all-knowing, because He is who He is, if we talk with Him, He's able to resolve it. We were all in a panic, waiting for the hotel clerk to receive that call from Dowanna's mom. But as soon as Dowanna's mom spoke with the hotel clerk, there were no issues. Cards were then being made for us to access the room. And that's what God does. When we talk to Him, when it looks like we may be in trouble, when it looks like that there may be a problem, guess what? He's unlocking that door. He's giving you that key to walk through. The same way when things happen, you may have gone through step 1, step 2, step 3 of the plan, and then you run into another problem. The same thing. You may have to make an adjustment, because oftentimes we will make a plan without consulting the right people. So as you saw in the beginning, me and my friends, we were making a plan. Then we had to go to our parents because we couldn't make the final decision. So we had to go to our parents to get that approval. The same with us. Sometimes we will make plans thinking that it's the best thing for our lives, but we have to go to Christ even during the process, because maybe we got the approval, maybe things look good in the beginning, maybe the plan looks good, but guess what? We added in a step, we added in a stop that wasn't pleasing to Him. So there may be a detour. We may have to wait a few days. Something may occur. But during that time, we're talking to Him. We're asking for His approval. We're asking for His direction, okay? He's assisting us with picking the best solution. He's assisting us and directing us with dealing with any problems that we may have, and stay on track. Oftentimes, we have a desire to do one thing, or only seeking this little goal, or just to accomplish, for example, when we're looking at bettering our grades, we may be looking at just getting a passing grade for a class of C. But if we stay focused, if we're studying, if we're being dedicated to the material and the study material, and doing what we're needing to do, talking with Jesus, asking him before we're testing and during our schoolwork to bring those things back to our remembrance, while we may be striving to get a C, because we're connected to God and because we are communicating with him, he will blow our minds. Not only will we get a passing grade, but he may allow us to even exceed our expectations, because he wants the best for us. He wants greater. So instead of getting that C, we're now at an A. So we have done something that we thought was impossible, which it was impossible on our own terms. But because we were connected, talking to God, he far exceeded what we were expecting, what we were pushing towards, what we had planned. So that's why it's very, very, very important to just continue to speak with God. And the third thing that I put on here was, when you are doing what you're supposed to do, when you're including him in your plan, when you're talking and seeking him, and again, always going to your parents, going to your pastor, other youth leaders, other counselors, etc., other important people in your life, they will assist you with promoting positive alternatives. You may not know the best route to take. You may not know who to speak with. You may not know that networking with this person will help you with this, but they will be able to provide you with some type of guidance. So just make sure that you understand, just because it doesn't go as planned doesn't mean that your goal, that your plan has been something that is a failure, because all you're doing is coming up with a better solution to still accomplish that goal. So you're still on track. Just as when we first got in the car in Ocala to go to Daytona, and there was a car accident and we couldn't go on that route, that GPS rerouted us. We had to go an alternative route. We got to Daytona because of the heavy traffic. We were stuck in traffic. It was delayed for a long time. But guess what? We still got to where we were going. And that's what happens with our plans. That just happens in life in general. But when we stay the course, when we stay focused, so we were stuck in traffic, we had the accident, we then went back to the GPS. We followed the alternative route that maps placed before us. We could have stayed there. We may be still sitting there now while they're clearing up the car accident, but we chose to follow that new route. And that's what we're doing when we're talking to Christ. We're saying, Jesus, listen, I need you. I need you to direct my path. I need you to show me a better route. And just like the GPS, for purposes of this illustration, he does that. He makes a way. We still got to Daytona during the daytime. We got there safely. Once we arrived in the city limits, we were stuck in traffic, but he still got us to where we needed to. And that was because we were following his word. For the analogy of the GPS compared to the word of God, we were following that path that he put before us. And that's because we seeked his assistance. We asked for his help. And we did that en route to Daytona by keeping maps on, because we could have turned it off because we had already researched it. We knew how we were going to get there because our parents asked last week, how are you going to get there? What route are you using? So we knew it, but we were using wisdom and kept the GPS on. And because we were connected, we were able to see those alternative routes. So I encourage each of you every day, regardless of what it is. It could be, you know, small to someone else, but for you, it's still important. And there's nothing wrong with asking God for direction, even when I have mentioned many times today, you know, finding an alternative, maybe changing it up, God having to change that direction because of stuck traffic or a car accident. But even when things are going good, I encourage you to talk to him. You're not only talking to him, we talked about it on yesterday, when things are wrong, you're wanting to talk with him and include him in all decisions, so that he can continue to guide you and lead you, give you the keys to those doors that appear to be locked, just because you are connected to him. And remember, just like our parents gave us permission to go on this trip, we were scared at first to ask because we planned it during the Christmas holidays. We were afraid, but they said yes. And it was because we had a plan. We showed them what we wanted to do. We did the research. We did everything. And that's what we have to do. We have to study God's word. We have to talk with him daily, not just popping up when we need something, but always always speaking with him. Just imagine, had me, Lakeisha, Bernicia, and Shamika waited till the day before to ask our parents to go to Daytona for 2 days, do you think that they would have said yes? Most likely not. That was probably going to be a 99.9% chance of a big no. But because we planned ahead, because we were in constant communication with them, letting them know what we wanted to do, giving them our desires, they were able to approve and allow us to experience that wonderful spring break. So again, I encourage you to make sure, include God in everything. Everything you do, include him. And I promise you that you will live a wonderful, fulfilled life. So before we go to our next slide, I want to just show an inspirational video that I thought would be good and would wrap this up before we go over our scriptures.
Number one, put God first. Put God first in everything you do. Everything that you think you see in me, everything that I've accomplished, everything that you think I have, and I have a few things, everything that I have is by the grace of God. Understand that. It's a gift. 40 years ago, March 27th, 1975, it was 40 years ago, just this past March, I was flunking out of college. I had a 1.7 grade point average. I hope none of you can relate. I had a 1.7 grade point average. I was sitting in my mother's beauty shop. They still call it beauty shops now? What they call it now? Yeah, I was sitting in the beauty parlor. I was sitting in my mother's beauty parlor, and I'm looking in the mirror, and I see behind me this woman under the dryer. And every time she looked up, every time I looked up, she was looking at me, just looking me in the eye. And I didn't know who she was, and I said, she said, somebody give me a pen, give me a pencil, I have a prophecy. March 27, 1975, she said, boy, you are going to travel the world and speak to millions of people. Now, mind you, I was flunked out of college. I'm thinking about joining the army. I didn't know what I was going to do, and she's telling me I'm going to travel the world and speak to millions of people. Well, I have traveled the world, and I have spoke to millions of people. But that's not the most important thing, the success that I had. The most important thing is that what she taught me and what she told me that day has stayed with me since. I've been protected. I've been directed. I've been corrected. I've kept God in my life, and it's kept me humble. I didn't always stick with him, but he always stuck with me. So stick with him in everything you do. If you think you want to do what you think I've done, then do what I've done and stick with God. Number 2, fail big. That's right. Fail big. Today's the beginning of the rest of your life, and it can be very frightening. It's a new world out there. It's a mean world out there, and you only live once. So do what you feel passionate about. Take chances professionally. Don't be afraid to fail. There's an old IQ test, was 9 dots, and you had to draw 5 lines with a pencil within these 9 dots without lifting the pencil. The only way to do it was to go outside the box. So don't be afraid to go outside the box. Don't be afraid to think outside the box. Don't be afraid to fail big, to dream big. But remember, dreams without goals are just dreams, and they ultimately fuel disappointment. So have dreams, but have goals. Life goals, yearly goals, monthly goals, daily goals. I try to give myself a goal every day. Sometimes it's just to not curse somebody out. Simple goals, but have goals. And understand that to achieve these goals, you must apply discipline and consistency. In order to achieve your goals, you must apply discipline, which you've already done, and consistency every day, not just on Tuesday and miss a few days. You have to work at it every day. You have to plan every day. You've heard the saying, we don't plan to fail, we fail to plan. Hard work works. Working really hard is what successful people do. And in this text, tweet, twerk world that you've grown up in, remember, just because you're doing a lot more doesn't mean you're getting a lot more done. Remember that. Just because you're doing a lot more doesn't mean you're getting a lot more done. Don't confuse movement with progress. My mother told me, she said, yeah, because you can run in place all the time and never get anywhere. So continue to strive, continue to have goals, continue to progress. Number 3, you'll never see a U-Haul behind a hearse. I'll say it again. You'll never see a U-Haul behind a hearse. I don't care how much money you make, you can't take it with you. And it's not how much you have. It's what you do with what you have. We all have different talents. Some of you will be doctors, some lawyers, some scientists, some educators, some nurses, some teachers. Yeah, okay. Some preachers. The most selfish thing you can do in this world is help someone else. Why is it selfish? Because the gratification, the goodness that comes to you, the good feeling that I get from helping others, nothing's better than that. Not jewelry, not big house I have, not the cars, but it's the joy. That's where the joy is, in helping others. That's where the success is. Finally, I pray that you put your slippers way under the bed tonight, so that when you wake up in the morning, you have to get on your knees to reach them. And while you're down there, say thank you for grace. Thank you for mercy. Thank you for understanding. Thank you for wisdom. Thank you for parents. Thank you for love. Thank you for kindness. Thank you for humility. Thank you for peace. Thank you for prosperity. Say thank you in advance for what's already yours. That's how I live my life. That's why I am. One of the reasons why I am today. Say thank you in advance for what is already yours. True desire in the heart for anything good is God's proof to you, sent beforehand to indicate that it's yours already. I'll say it again. True desire in the heart, that itch that you have, whatever it is you want to do, that thing that you want to do to help others and to grow and to make money, that desire, that itch, that's God's proof to you, sent beforehand already to indicate that it's yours.
Yes, God.
And anything you want good, you can have. So claim it. Work hard to get it. When you get it, reach back. Pull someone else up. Each one, teach one. Don't just aspire to make a living. Aspire to make a difference.
Okay, that was, I thought, a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful closing video for our session. But before we go today, as always, I would like to share some scriptures that will also help you to deal with, to assist you with anything that you have going on, whether you're in the beginning process of setting your goals, deciding on what to do, or if you're in the middle of it, trying to reroute yourself, trying to come up with an alternative. So we're just going to read over these. The first one coming from Job 12:13. To God belong wisdom and power, counsel and understanding are his. Proverbs 24:3-4. By wisdom, a house is built, and by understanding, it is established. By knowledge, the rooms are filled with all precious and pleasant riches. Psalms 23:3. He refreshes my soul. He guides me along the right path for his name's sake. Psalms 119:35. Direct me in the path of your commands, for there I find delight. Proverbs 4:18. The path of the righteous is like the morning sun, shining ever brighter till the full light of day. Psalm 16:8. I keep my eyes always on the Lord. With him at my right hand, I will not be shaken. Psalms 37:4. Take delight in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. Proverbs 12:15. The way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but a wise man listens to advice. Proverbs 19:21. Many are the plans in the mind of a man, but it is the purpose of the Lord that will stand. Proverbs 14:5. The simple believe anything, but the prudent give thought to their steps. Ephesians 15-17. Look carefully then how you walk, not as unwise, but as wise, making the best use of the time, because the days are evil. Therefore, do not be foolish, but understand what the will of the Lord is. Proverbs 3:5-6. Trust in the Lord with all of your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, submit to him, and he will make your path straight. So in closing, I would like to say to each of you, as we have shared over the last 3 days, make sure in everything that you do, that you include Christ. Watch your step, watch your behavior, watch your attitude. Make sure that you are dressed properly inside and outside, and that you are truly representing the kingdom. Make sure that you are being respectful. Make sure that if you have a problem, if you have a situation, if you need direction, make sure that you're going to your parents, going to your pastor, going to the youth leaders, going to someone who can help you and put you on the right path. Lastly, I would like to say, before opening it up to those who are on the call, I want to also just go back to the previous screen, because I did forget one of the most important things on here, and I'm not sure how I forgot, so I apologize, but I wanted to come back and say that one of the key factors of this trip, and I wanted you all to think about it and to consider when moving in your day-to-day as well, is when my friends and I, for purposes of this example, decided to go on this trip, we were very careful in deciding who we were going to invite. We knew that if we invited, Sally or this person who didn't go to church with us, who parents didn't have that best of a name in the community, we knew that our parents would not say yes. So be careful as well who you take on your journey. That's very, 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 very important. Okay? So just make sure in all that you do, make sure that you're including Christ. So I would like to open it up for any persons that are here. If you had anything that you wanted to say or share or add, we're happy that everyone is here. So this is an opportunity if you would like to unmute yourself and say anything. So we have no one that wants to come up. Just as a quick reminder, if you have not watched any of the videos from this week, we've had a couple of messages already. Please go to the Second Bethlehem Baptist Association website to view the dean's message, as well as the president's message, as well as some other upcoming things that we have this week. You all be blessed. I've enjoyed it, and I love each of you. Enjoy your day.